It is time for our local history, and of course there's only one person we do that with, and that is of course Harold Peacock from History Out There, and he always has a sensational story. Good morning, Harold.
Yes, good morning, Damo. This is a really good story for a cold morning because it'll warm me up. This massive police chase through the streets of Toowoomba.
Oh, now look, when I was doing my research for the pictures for our Facebook page, they actually introduced brand new uniforms around about 1896, around about the time of this chase, and they went into a khaki model.
Yes, well, that would have been what they were wearing, and they're on horseback. So it's a bit old school, but a bit of that modern khaki uniform as well.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, they were bringing in bicycles at the time, but obviously the Darling Downs hadn't quite cottoned onto the bike thing yet.
Oh, look, this chase was so dramatic. I don't think they had time to go and oil up the chain and get on their bikes.
So you just grab the horses, eh?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, mate, it's over to you.
Yeah, look, it was in 1896. A young man named Victor Parr was 23 years old and working for the Patterson family in Toowoomba. Now, 8 years earlier, in 1888, when he was 15, Parr and his older brother from Cambridgeshire in England arrived in Moreton Bay as the only two remittance men aboard the ship, the Duke of Argyll. Now, a remittance man was typically a British immigrant who was supported by payments from home on the understanding that they would stay here. So whatever Parr and his brother had done in England, their family hoped they would do better in the colonies. Now, the captain of the ship that brought them was actually really interesting, so I'll just quickly tell you about him. His name was Captain W.L. Prentice, and he was in command of a ship during the Carlist War in Spain. That's when he was taken prisoner, but because the jail was full, they just left him wandering the streets for months until he managed to stow away. Now, anyway, in 1896, while our young Victor Parr was working in Toowoomba, his eccentricities caused his employer, Mrs. Patterson, to feel uneasy, and so he got the sack. Now, Parr then went to live in the boarding house on Russell Street, owned by the newspaper editor, Mr. Donald McLean. And after lunch one day, Parr went to Mr. Matthew Keefe's Freemasons Hotel on Neil Street. Now, Keefe was a publican, policeman, and would become mayor of Toowoomba. In any case, Parr sat down on a couch between two men. One was a well-known character about town, Paddy O'Keefe. Now, Paddy and his mate moved into another parlour. Parr followed them, but when his language became a little too colourful, Paddy's mate turfed him out.
Fair enough.
Now, Parr went over to the other side of the road and beckoned Paddy to follow him, but then pointed a revolver and fired. Now, he narrowly missed a boy riding past on horseback. The bullet lodged into the officers behind it, that of John Gargett, who was another mayor of Toowoomba. So the mayors were everywhere in this incident. And about this time, Mounted Constable William Wilson was riding his horse along Ruthven Street. Now, he had arrived at the intersection with Harry Street when his attention was attracted by cooeying from the Freemasons Hotel. Now, he cantered over, and once apprised of what was happening, he took off at a gallop and caught up with Parr on the corner of Hume and Thorn Streets. You see, everything was happening in the streets of Toowoomba. Now, Parr turned and shot at the constable. The bullet missed him, but lodged in the back of his saddle. Parr fired a second shot, but it flew wide of the mark somewhere. Now, while all this was going on, the boy who had been fired at rode down to the police station and reported the matter. Now, meanwhile, Parr rushed into Mrs. Mary McDougall's residence on Neil Street. And she was the widow of a baker in Warwick. Now, Parr made his way through her kitchen and into the front bedroom, where he tried to hide under the bed. But Mrs. McDougall chased him out of there, and Parr then tried to climb up the chimney of the front room. But Parr couldn't fit in, so he went back into the kitchen, and by this time he was surrounded by police.
Right.
Now, Constable Carr made a rush to arrest him. At close range, Parr aimed his revolver and pulled the trigger, but it failed to go off. Parr was now covered by Constable Bill Bailey with a carbine and Constable Will Woodside with a revolver. And that's when a gun went off and Parr fell dead. One woman nearby vehemently asserted that Parr had been shot by Constable Bailey with his carbine, but a post-mortem examination cleared the constable and Parr was blamed for his own death.
Wow.
Now, it was a tragic end to the most dramatic police chase, I think, through Toowoomba streets of all time. After all, Damo, 4 shots were fired, and luckily one constable, a 5th bullet misfired. So, as well, and this is afterwards, they then examined the body, and as well as the revolver Pa had on him, a pink crystalline substance believed to be strychnine, and a large sheath knife that had been recently ground to a fine edge. Now, by all reports, Farr, when he was in the right frame of mind, was a very nice person, but it was clear that he had gone out that day intending to cause trouble.
Yes.
Now, in any case, he was buried the next day in Drayton and Toowoomba Cemetery, and the whole incredible chase scene simply faded into history.
Yep.
Until now.
Didn't even get a mention in the history books.
That's right. It's just not recorded yet. It's this amazing chase on horseback and running. There was 5 shots fired in the streets and the corners. You could retrace the chase scene right now.
You could.
And all the way under the bed and up the chimney of Mrs. McDougall's house.
And she still wouldn't be thrilled.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, mate, another great story. And, of course, you'll be posting this up a little later this week.
Absolutely. On Friday morning, I post this on my website, historyoutThere.com.
All right, mate. Appreciate it as always. Look forward to now you're going to be taking a couple of weeks off, so we'll need to suffice just reading through some of the stories, but that's always a great thing to do. So jump onto historyoutThere.com.au, and mate, you have a safe couple of weeks, and we'll talk again in about 3 weeks' time.
I'm looking forward. Hopefully I have some good stories, because I'm up in Arnhem Land and Tiwi Islands for raising money for charity, and hopefully you're finding some good stories for you.
Fantastic, mate. You take care and enjoy the travels.
I will. See you soon.
There we go. That is our local history expert, Harold Peacock from historyoutThere.com.au. Jump online and have a read of the stories. Our birthday's coming up next.